Welcome back to Geek Channel 8. I'm Eric,
And I'm Will.
and today on the show, we are talking about House of Frankenstein. Today, we have a guest on the show, Dusty Palmer of It's Alive Electric Tattoo in Springdale, Ohio, I believe.
Yes.
Welcome, Dusty.
Hey, Eric. Thanks for having me.
Dusty, what is your connection maybe to Frankenstein? Is there any reason that we're having a tattoo artist on the show today? Like maybe are you a fan of Frankenstein or something?
You could say that. You could definitely say that, considering the name of my shop. It's a live electric tattoo. I've been fascinated with the Frankenstein monsters lore pretty much my whole life, ever since I was a small child.
Okay. We have a show for you today because we sort of do some Frankenstein from each decade. So we already covered Edison's Frankenstein from 1910, I believe. And then we did some German Expressionist Frankenstein stuff from 1916 and 1920, Homunculus and Der Golem. And then, so that took us up to the 20s. In the 30s, we did the first Karloff Frankenstein, the 1931. And for the 40s, today we're doing House of Frankenstein. But before we get into that, have you ever done a Frankenstein tattoo?
Yeah, like quite a few. The classic one, of course, always the Karloff one. I'll get lucky sometimes to get like a Glenn Strange or and I've even done a Bela Lugosi version of Frankenstein as well. But yeah, done a few.
So we've talked about on the show, I think we talked about Lugosi was the first choice for Frankenstein before Karloff. And they actually put him in the Der Golem makeup. The makeup was based on Der Golem, which I think it was Lugosi's idea to do that. They never ended up using him. Actually, I think he turned them down because the script wasn't up to snuff in his opinion.
Right. There's a little bit of vanity in there too. He's just coming off Dracula, and he's like this sex symbol now. So
Yeah. So what's interesting about the Karloff makeup, that is a trademark of Universal. It's supposedly like no one but Universal can use that. Now it appears everywhere, so I don't know how they can enforce that. And it's supposed to go into the public domain in January of 2027. So it's almost like in the public domain already, but just a couple more years. So we'll see what happens with that. But we'll probably see a lot of Frankenstein stuff a little under 2 years from now, a year and a half from now.
right.
There'll probably be a lot of Frankenstein stuff.
I'm waiting for my cease and desist letter any day now.
The reason he says that is that It's Alive Electric Tattoo uses that as the logo, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's dive into today, House Frankenstein. So before we get into that, let me give you a little background to the year 1944. Of course, we're in the middle of World War II. So January 22nd, Operation Shingle happens. That's when the Allied forces land at Anzio and they open the beachhead in Italy. February 15th, Allied bombs destroy the Abbey of Monte Cassino in the Battle of Monte Cassino. March 18th, speaking of Italy, Mount Vesuvius erupts. So you got everything else going on in Italy. And then on top of that, a volcano.
Hey, what did they think? Maybe the end of the world? Yeah, they might have thought that. That's fair.
April 10th, Rudolf Vrba and Alfred Wetzler escaped Auschwitz and began compiling the Vrba-Wetzler report. May 18th, Allied forces captured Monte Cassino and the Gustav Line was breached. June 6th, D-Day. Allied landings begin on the Normandy beaches, opening the Western Front in Europe. July 1st, Bretton Woods Conference opens in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, launching plans for the IMF and World Bank. August 7th, supercomputer Harvard Mark I was formally dedicated at Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Wow.
September 8th, the first V-2 rocket strikes London at Staveley Road, Chiswick. October 8th of 1944, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet debuts on network radio. November 7th, U.S. presidential election happens and Franklin Delano Roosevelt is elected to a fourth term. December 15th was the premiere of the Universal film House of Frankenstein. Since on the show we covered Frankenstein, but not the movies in between, it's worth noting what they are. Bride, of course, came after Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's favorite. That's my favorite too. Elsa Lanchester plays Mary Shelley in the beginning and then the bride. Then came Son of Frankenstein. That one did not have James Whale as director or Colin Clive as Frankenstein.
It's the last time Karloff played Frankenstein's monster, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was also the last time Karloff played Frankenstein's monster. The next one was Son of Frankenstein, and that had Basil Rathbone as the Baron, and Bela Lugosi was Igor in that one.
With a broken neck.
Lionel Atwill was the Inspector Krogh.
Mhm.
After that came Ghost of Frankenstein, and that had Lon Chaney Jr. as the monster for the first time.
Yep.
And Lugosi was back as Igor again.
Yep.
And then we get into the first crossovers. I think it was the first Universal crossover. It was Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Yeah.
Lon Chaney Jr. and Bela Lugosi.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like we owe a certain debt if you are a fan of, like, for instance, the the Marvel movie universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we owe a certain debt to that.
This is the original crossover universe. And then the follow-up to that is this movie. So this had Karloff returning, but not as the monster, as this mad doctor,
Mm-hmm.
Niemann, who follows in the footsteps of Frankenstein.
Right.
And he's got a hunchback assistant because every assistant needs to be a hunchback.
They're always hunchback.
It's like they've got like their own like little like union or something.
Yeah, the hunchback union. Someone ought to make a movie about that. That would be awesome.
That would be. Eric, there you go. Come on. Put the director's cap back on.
The monster is played by Glenn Strange, who was a cowboy actor.
Yeah.
Who I guess just looked like Karloff. So they're like, okay, you.
Right. Well, he's also extremely tall.
Yeah.
Very tall guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a lot of padding in that suit.
Yeah. And then Dracula's back in this as well, but is played by John Carradine.
Yes. My least favorite Dracula.
We did a whole series on Dracula, and there are worse Draculas than him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
On June 7th, 1943, a film called Chamber of Horrors was announced in the Hollywood Reporter, stating that the cast would include Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney Jr., Bela Lugosi, Peter Lorre, Claude Rains, George Zucco, and James Barton.
Wow.
With characters such as the Invisible Man, the Mad Ghoul, the Mummy, and, quote, other assorted monsters. Chamber of Horrors, it never went into production, but Kurt Siodmak, you should recognize his name from, Astounding and all that. He spoke very little about his role in developing the story for the film. He just stated that the idea was to put all the horror characters in one picture. He wrote a story, and then it was handed off to a guy named Edward Lowe, who had written the script for the original silent Hunchback of Notre Dame and the Vampire Bat. So a lot of people consider the silent version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which we'll talk about in a future podcast. A lot of people consider that to be the first Universal monster movie because it was made by Universal and it had Lon Chaney Sr. in it.
Man of 1,000 Faces.
Yes, the Man of 1,000 Faces. It was adapted by this Edward Lowe. So it's got a lot in common with these. And it was also Universal saying, hey, this monster thing's working out. Let's make more of those. In August 43 was when it finally got the go-ahead, and it was called The Devil's Brood. And it was budgeted at $354,000, which is the highest budget of any Universal monster movie. of that classic era, but not the one that spent the most money because Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein went over budget due to like war rationing and stuff too. I think they had to be very frugal and like reuse sets and stuff like that. So
There's a lot of reuse sets. Yeah.
yeah, they used sets from Green Hell, Pittsburgh, Gung Ho, and Tower of London. Strange also had a scene where he throws J. Carroll Naish through a window and onto a prop mattress. Strange misjudged his throw when
Oh
he did this, leading to Naish missing the mattress and landing on the cement floor. However, Naish plays the hunchback in this, and his large padded hunchback cushioned his fall sufficiently to prevent serious injury.
my gosh.
Most of the film's score was written specifically for House of Frankenstein, as opposed to other films of the period that reused older musical cues. So it had its own original score.
Hmm.
After filming was completed in May and prior to its premiere, the film's title was changed to House of Frankenstein.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. We promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go!
Okay, guys. I'm going to just keep it real with you. I'm going to tell you what I ate while I watched. All right, so I'm a dad. I'm the kind of dad who's like, I get a lot of joy from feeding my children. But I also am like, hey, I know you want to go have Indian food, but do you know how much that stuff costs? So after a couple of go rounds on that, I was like, I gotta learn how to make some Indian food. I've always wanted to, but like I'm like, well, there's two dishes actually that are the orange chickens and General Tso's of Indian takeaway food. People who are not from America or England, they might have a different entirely take on this. But what we have is diaspora Indian food. It's not Indian food. It's Indian food after it passed through Britain and then got to America.
Are you talking about the national dish of England?
Yes, I
Which
am.
is chicken tikka masala?
Chicken tikka masala. so okay, yeah. And I'm just gonna keep it simple. I took a Adam Raguso. He's a food tuber, and I went through and looked at different ones. His seemed good, and so I wanted to hit that up. And I actually am amazed at how simple it is.
Did you use ghee or did you use butter?
The first time I made it, I used ghee. The second time, I used butter, and I think I like butter better because I like the burnt bits. Wow, that kind of alliterated. Okay, so this is obviously in your wheelhouse, but I'm just going to keep it simple. Butter, onions, lots of them. Cook them down hard. Of course, you want your garam masala. This is actually, this will make you go. The first time, I knew we had some, and I couldn't find it, but I was already committed. So I was looking around. What did I find? I found a jar of curry. Was it Indian curry? No. It was Jamaican curry. I used that stuff, and it was great. Okay, so after you cook down all the onions in the butter or ghee, you turn the heat to medium, and you start toasting all your other things in there. The garam masala, in my case, paprika, and then also hot pepper. Okay, so that is there to make up for the recommended hot pepper, which I went and got later, but I think I prefer this. So I'm just going to say this. So paprika, which could be smoked paprika, it could be hot, spicy paprika, it could be sweet, whatever you want, but like paprika. And then, you would just red pepper flakes. I had some smoked red pepper flakes. Very good. You're cooking that down. Here's the recommendation. I think it was a good one. He says, take a big old spoonful of tomato paste and you slop that in your butter. Now, if you're not cooking a lot, and maybe if you are, tomato paste is something that is out of the can, and usually comes in a can, terrible. I mean, literally the first time I tried it, I'm like, well, I'll just spread this on a sandwich. Oh my God, this is horrible. You want to cook it. You cook it and then it transforms. You throw that in your oil, you cook that in too. Oh, there's the other thing that where it's like you could do this yourself, but I would recommend just go to your local Indian grocery store and get this ginger and garlic paste. All right. Because what we're trying to do here is we're not trying to emulate homemade Indian food. We're trying to emulate takeout. That's what we're doing. It's like fast food. It's very anglicized. So, but anyway, it's going to be delicious. So you have all those ingredients. You cook them all down. Now you add in your tomatoes. Recommendation is crushed tomatoes. I did not do that either time. I used sauce, and it came out great. So I just used that. I mean, honestly, I think as long as there's nothing too strongly flavor, like if it's like it's tomato sauce. The tomato sauce I had didn't have any strong flavors. It was just like basically maybe some garlic in it. Extra garlic, that's fine. If it was like spaghetti sauce, I'd be like, I don't want to do that. So anyway, you're cooking all that down. You want to do all that. You add in your cream, and he went light on the cream. I say don't go light on the cream. You went on a way to get cream, don't go light. I'm open to the idea of using full fat sour cream or full fat yogurt instead. But none of this, if it doesn't have full fat, don't even bother. That's not where here. Honestly, I started with butter. The second time I made it, I used 2 full sticks of butter. There is a reason for this. It's delicious. Just do it. So anyway, he recommended taking that and adding that in, and then he said come back and actually loosen up your sauce with water, which, it seems like crazy because you just spend all the time cooking it down. I kind of split the difference. Basically, when you're adding dairy into a sauce, it's very easy to actually make it cook. You don't want that, right? So I add some water to my cream, partially just to get it out of the container I had it in, but whatever, add some water to the cream, shook it up, add it in that way. And that helped it incorporate. So then, we bring it back to about the level we want it, the level of smoothness that we want. Sugar, salt. I did try it without because those are the finishing things. And so you want to, like, well, what do I need this? And yeah, it really helps. The sugar really helps. And actually, that's something that I'm surprised at. But like, anytime you're using tomatoes, you're liable to find that adding a little sugar can really be helpful. I'm not sure exactly, but it felt like it made it smoother in a way. Anyway, so that's that. The other half of this is, of course, the chicken. Actually, what I like is I feel like my version is frankly better than the last time I had it out, because when I do it, I did it 2 different ways. One, I took already smoked chicken. I had it in the fridge. I got smoked some chicken, and I tore it up and I cooked it while I was making the sauce. So right at the point when after the butter got and the onions were ready to accept spices, I put it in then. Super flavorful, okay? The second time, I did something else, which was I baked it because I just didn't have time to mess with it smoking. I took the garam masala powder, rubbed it underneath the skin of the chicken, baked it in the oven. Didn't like the way the skin looked, so I finished that off by taking some of my finished sauce, covering the outside of the skin and cranking it up so I get a nice dark thing. So because there's a lot of sugars in the sauce, even natural sugars and a little bit of regular sugar. But that baked it off really nicely. And then I took the entire piece of chicken and smothered it with the sauce. That was not quite as good. It was still good and flavorful, but I mean, it's hard to beat smoked chicken. And the good news is, and this is the key, not only was it delicious, I'm like, man, I don't know when the next time I'm going to have something this good. And then, so that was really great, but also my kids loved it. So that was really key. I mean, I'm like, yeah, no, they thought it was delicious.
That was what I was going to ask you. I was like, the fact that you like it's fine, but like, did the kids like it compared to other takeout Indian food?
Exactly, right? I mean, it's kind of like, well, I think this is an amazing burger. And like, well, it's not like McDonald's. You got to be able to compete with that stuff. But anyway, did this have anything to do with this movie? No, other than I sat down and tried my second go around. I was eating it with it, and I was like, "Dang, man, I did something here, man. I did all right."
All right, let's jump into our discussion of House of Frankenstein.
I'm going to give you the brain of the wolf man.
Boris Karloff is seeking revenge.
All your waking hours will be spent in untold agony.
He unleashes Dracula.
I will protect the earth upon which you lie.
For that, I will do whatever you wish.
Brings Frankenstein's monster to life.
Increase your mega voltage to 100,000.
And revives the Wolfman.
Last night I suffered the tortures of the damned. I killed a man.
All for his own evil purposes. Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney, John Carradine, House of Frankenstein.
This opens up in jail, actually, for trying to replicate Dr. Frankenstein's experiments. Dr. Gustav Niemann is put in prison where he meets another incarcerated criminal, the hunchback Daniel, promising to create a new beautiful body for Daniel. Niemann convinces him to become his assistant. And then I guess they get super lucky, right? There's like an earthquake.
Yeah. Wall caves in.
Depending on where they're incarcerated, it could be Vesuvius erupted. I don't know. They never say exactly what the hell happened, but there's this earthquake-like thing happens, and then there's a hole in the wall and they escape. There's a lot of things that are awfully convenient in this film, and this is one of them.
Oh my gosh! And they don't take a long time to do any of it. They just go, "Hey!"
And then they get lucky again because they stumble across a traveling showman, Professor Lampini.
Professor Lampini, yeah.
So he's got like this horror show, and it's traveling wagons, horse-drawn wagons, of course, and it gets stuck in the mud. And they happen across it, Daniel and Niemann, and they like help him out of the mud. And then they they're riding along with him, and they find out that he's got the corpse of Count Dracula.
With the stake.
It's got a stake in it, yeah.
It was so great.
So they basically murder him and take over his traveling horror show, and to exact revenge on the Burgermeister husband for putting him in prison, Niemann revives Dracula.
Because that's what you do.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Fast forward about 5 minutes if you don't want to hear the spoiler. Dracula hypnotizes Husband's daughter-in-law, Rita, and kills the Burgermeister. This basically gets the authorities on their ass, right? So they start getting chased by the authorities, and they decide to throw Dracula off, right? They throw his coffin off, which, and there's another point where the pin comes out of the cart that they're pulling.
Yeah.
Totally by accident. That was awful convenient,
Right?
and unnecessary because they dumped his coffin already. So
There was that was. I'm like, wait, why are they concerned? They're chasing Dracula. What do they care? But no, they took off, and then who was the gentleman who said, "Oh yeah, I wrote the story, but I did not write the script." Yeah,
Kurt Sidemak, yeah.
I would have also made that distinction too.
Yeah, the one thing you'll see is that this movie has a lot of hands in it, and a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and different ideas, some that didn't come to fruition and others that did to different extent. Anyway, Dracula, basically his coffin falls over, dawn comes, and he dies due to the sun. And so Dracula is out of this thing in the first 20 minutes of the movie, or 30
Really
minutes
early.
of the movie.
It's like, I'm here. Shit. I'm dead.
Yeah. On the way, there's one more encounter. They encounter gypsies, right? And there's this gypsy woman. Okay, this is another trope when it comes to hunchbacks. Hunchbacks and gypsy ladies. I don't know what it is.
Love.
So he falls in love with the gypsy lady.
I just love all the throwbacks to that.
Yeah.
It's like It's so reminiscent of like Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's just like, Esmeralda.
Yeah, but also Gypsy's figure prominent in the Wolfman too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Neiman and Daniel travel to the flooded ruins of Castle Frankenstein in Visaria. And of course, they find the body of the Frankenstein's monster and the Wolfman in ice under the castle and thaw them out.
Because that's what you do.
Yeah. And then like the Wolfman turns back into Larry Talbot, and the gypsy lady, who in this is called, it's not Esmeralda, it's Ilonka.
Ilanka, yeah.
Yeah, she falls in love with Talbot. And so now the hunchback's pissed about that. So he's like, convinces Neiman, he's like, hey, put me in, I need a better body. Like, I got a hunchback. He wants Talbot's body. And then Talbot wants to be rid of the curse. So this makes no sense. He thinks that, like, if he put his brain in another body, he won't be cursed anymore or something.
Right, right.
Which doesn't make any sense at all.
My werewolfism is just topical.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So Neiman doesn't care about any of this. He wants to like revive the monster and get revenge on the people that sent him to prison. Daniel, meanwhile, tells Ilonka that Talbot's a werewolf and gives her a gun and says with silver bullets and says, you know, wait in his bedroom and in case he changes. And that of course happens and he kills her. And but she shoots him and kills him before she dies, right? And meanwhile, Daniel gets pissed because Neiman hasn't kept his promise. Plus, now Ilonka's dead, so he turns on the doctor, and then the monster goes against him because he's like turning on the doctor and like throws him out a window. So after he throws him out the window, Daniel's dead. The monster carries Neiman outside, and the villagers who are rioting like the villagers always do, chase them into the swamp where they get drowned in quicksand, which quicksand is like a way overused trope, but this is early enough in the day that maybe it actually wasn't yet.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, what's the joke? It's like the dangers of quicksand. Growing up, I thought that was going to be around, but no, really not.
and and that's the end of the film.
Wow. This was a quite the ride. It wasn't slow. That's for some. I mean, lots of things happened.
I will say, not only was it not slow, there's some great cinematography in this, especially the torch-bearing mob in the marsh.
Yeah, nice.
There's one point where they're thrusting a torch right at the camera, stuff like that. So that is one thing it had going for it.
I just want to point out, Neiman is like he's like a fanboy of Frankenstein. You know, that's essentially. Oh yeah, I heard about this guy's stuff and I tried to duplicate it, and then people got all pissed off for some reason. And Frankenstein is a known entity in this. They're like, oh yeah, hey, get out of here with your crazy monster show. We don't want you around here with that. You know, whether it's a fake or not, we don't care. We've had enough monster stuff. Okay, definitely a thing where they're like, we're done. No, we do not suffer monsters to live here. You know, a different sort of take. It's like, yeah, monsters exist and we hate them with good reason.
All right, I got to ask you an electrician question here, because there's one point they say increase your mega voltage to 100,000. Does this make any kind of sense or not?
I mean, those are numbers, and I guess you could have mega. No, it doesn't make any sense. It's nonsense, I say.
Okay.
I mean, but you know, look. Okay, if you really wanted to revive a dead body, you would want to increase the amperage, not the voltage. Duh. I'm only half joking, but I'm going to say that this might be one of those things where it's like, you know, if they quote lost parts of the movie, you know, and you didn't have all of it, and you just saw parts of it, you might be like, wow, this movie was amazing. How did the parts that they left out that explain how this all fits together? Oh man, that's the part we're missing. The thing is that it's a complete movie, and it's all clutched together. You know, like I really enjoy. I mean, honestly, the first part with the Dracula story, you could have that could have been an entire movie. I thought there were some great horse riding scenes. There was some action. It had its own thing going on that, and then they just kind of clubbed together more stuff, a whole nother set of movies. I mean, and even like they referenced why the Wolfman is there at Dracula, at Frankenstein's castle. I mean, they do say, oh, you came here looking for help from him. I was like, okay. So I'm assuming maybe they even did that in the previous movie. But essentially, yeah, it's meh, 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 meh. But it didn't take long to watch. It was, you know, quick,
Yeah.
quick, quick, but not painless. Yeah. Okay. Let's just face it, Eric. You're really deeply, this is horror is in your blood, in your veins. And I do. I like that stuff, but like, not like you. And I'm just gonna say, I agree. Unless you're like Eric and a completionist, don't bother with this one. I mean, so many other ones I watched with him are really, really great. I mean, some of them I'm like, wow, I wish I'd seen this before. It you see the bones of other things in it. I feel like this is more like it's you see the bones where it's picked over. These are picked over bones. They are using up extra bits they had left over from other movies, and it shows.
All right. So, Dusty, I got to say, as a Frankenstein fan, where does this Frankenstein movie fit on your list of Frankenstein films?
Oh, okay. So let's go back. Let's how many number of Frankenstein films have there been in total?
Well, there have been a ton, but how many Universal ones?
Exactly.
So there was Frankenstein, and then Bride of Frankenstein, and then Son of Frankenstein, and then Ghost of Frankenstein, uh, and then Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and then there's this House of Frankenstein. So this is the seventh film,
Yeah.
and then after this comes Abbott and Costello, like Meet
You
Frankenstein.
start
But
bringing the comedy aspect into it. Yeah, I'm gonna say I would probably put it probably around like number five. Like, I put it about number five.
so there's one of the ones we mentioned you liked less than this.
Um yeah, and that's probably well, you know what? You know what? No, we're probably gonna have to put it number six. Yeah, probably number six. I really I mean, I watched this movie twice, Eric, before we did this podcast, and the second time I'm never going to get that time back. But no, I mean, it has a place in the lore, of course. The only reason why I keep it there is because, like, Glenn Strange is one of my, favorite Frankenstein monsters.
Yeah.
Lugosi's probably my least favorite,
Okay.
as far as like Universal goes.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's always going to be Karloff number one for me. Glenn Strange,
Yeah.
that Chaney Jr., and then Lugosi.
Well, I have the box set of this. And like I have the boxed Universal Monsters sets.
Same.
And like this is the only one that I hadn't watched prior to doing this podcast. Like I always stopped at Ghost. Like the first couple, especially Bride, I've seen countless times. But this one I always stopped before. And now that I have seen it, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I like it and it does have a place in the lore. Like I think that it's still watchable if you're a fan. Anyone who's not a fan, I would say don't even bother with this one.
Exactly.
But I don't think I'll ever watch it again. Like I think that
Yeah.
like there are so many other good Universal Monsters movies to watch, that this will not be on the radar. It was worth watching for me in that, yeah, Glenn Strange is a pretty good creature. Karloff is really cool too.
Then get much better than that,
Yeah, I think that Karloff doesn't get to deliver lines a whole lot when he's the creature, right? He acts, but he doesn't get to deliver lines. and he's really good at that. So he's like really good as Neiman. So yeah, it'd be interesting what it would have been like supposing that in the beginning Karloff was in the Colin Clive role, although he's really good too, and Glenn Strange had been the monster all along.
Right.
That might have been interesting.
It might have been, yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I always wanted Karloff to be the monster. I always wanted him to be the monster. But of course, like time and age and injury, he was injured in the first film, in the windmill scene when he was carrying Colin Clive up into the windmill. He strained his back,
Right.
and he had back problems the rest of his life because of that. And and you could tell like Karloff was eating good by the time the bride came through. He put on about a good 30 pounds, like
Yeah.
after that, just time and things like that. He'll always be my favorite. But yeah. I think the one thing that I disliked most about the movie was probably the Dracula part. It just seemed like, we don't have any room for this. It's like a freak show. So let's put let's use Dracula, and then we'll kill him in 6 minutes of film time. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I love the Frankenstein's monster, but honestly, Dracula should be harder to kill. Like, and so to have him in this for like that short of time, and also they're opposite in that the Frankenstein's monster is like a baby. He's like just been born, right? He's still new to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Dracula's been around for centuries, so he shouldn't be like easily manipulated by like some doctor villain. Like Dracula's the type of villain where people like, yeah, I'm gonna bring Dracula back, and like they think they're in control, and then as soon as Dracula's back, he's
It's like just
no.
no,
Yeah.
no. your lunch.
Yeah. I'm kind of thumbs medium. I'm like, if you love this series, then you might want to still see this just for completion's sake. But unless you truly love Universal horror stuff, then skip it. Okay. Thanks for joining us, Dusty.
Thanks for having me, man. There's no shameless promotion.
Oh yeah, go ahead. But although it's like this is an audio only podcast, so you're gonna have to like say it out loud.
I'm holding up one of my gift cards. It says it's a live electric tattoo.
Yes.
Shameless.
If you need a tattoo and you happen to be in Ohio, it's a live electric tattoo in Springdale.
Bye-bye.
I want to tell everybody that if you like the show, just please tell 2 other people about it. Until next time, this is Eric.
And this is Will.
Signing off.
If you're going to sit through it, you might as well enjoy a little bit of it.